Look great, man. I love it.
He's talking to the person behind
You
you.
sure about the bullets?
Enough, too many?
How explosive are they?
Okay, welcome to the.
People with weaponry around me make me nervous. It's my time in America, you know.
Should we start? Welcome to Blackburn Comic Con, everyone. Welcome to the Star Wars panel. My name's Andy. Obviously, here's Angus MacInnes.
Hi.
And Brian Wheeler. Please give them a round of applause. It's early.
It is early. It's early. I think we're going to dispense with these.
Do you think so?
Well, you can already hear them from here. Hello.
You'll be able to hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you are trained professionals.
Get your hair cut.
Okay, so if we can get started with your beginnings and your introductions into Star Wars and how you originally both got your different roles in the Star Wars universe.
Actors have agents. You probably all know that. You've heard it before. I think every American actor in London at the time got a call and a job. It wasn't real tough, you know, because there were so many roles going and there was only a few dozen Americans working there then. And so we all went up and we met this little guy who was very furry. He had a big beard and this is George Lucas. Didn't know this guy from Adam, and so we had a chat, and everybody did the same thing. And then a couple of days later, they said, "Yeah, they want you to do this movie." So that's how I got the job. I wish I had a bigger job, but it wasn't a big one. They blew me up again, so which sadly became a sort of career move. You know, I kept getting killed, so I don't know. Or it makes me worried.
Especially the man with bullets in here.
Yeah, exactly. People with bullets, I start going, yeah, this job too.
And how about yourself, Brian?
Mine was a lot easier. Mine was, I used to live in Hertfordshire, and there was an advert in our local paper that they wanted people under 4'6" for this film. So I just phoned up and said, "I'm a graphic designer, but I'm under 4'6". Are you interested?" And they said, "Get to the studios tomorrow, you're having a casting." And not a casting to see what part I was doing, it was a full body casting. Yeah, full body casting. That was my start of entertainment business. And I was an Ewok for 2.5 weeks, and then me and my mate Andy got asked to be Jawas in Jabba the Hutt's palace. And we were Jawas for another 2.5 weeks. And I also got blown up in Jabba the Hutt's Space Land Cruiser thingy. I was delivering drinks.
Well, that'll do it every time.
Yeah. There I am.
Deliver drinks, they blow you up, you see.
And at the time, did you know it was Star Wars that you were looking for?
I knew it was Star Wars, and originally it was called Revenge of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. We all had posters, all our certificates to say all this, and the sweatshirts as well. And then they changed it to Return of the Jedi, because all the Star Wars people said that Jedis wouldn't revenge, they would return. So we end up with Return. So we knew it was Star Wars, we knew it was a third one, so it was a bit like, we knew that Star Wars was out there and massive.
I never knew that. See, you learn something new every day. That's good.
There you go.
Thank you. Information.
What are you going to teach me? How to grow a beard.
How to skateboard?
And Angus, your character made a reappearance in Rogue One more recently.
Yeah.
Were you aware of that? At what point did you find out about that?
About 8 weeks before the picture was released, I got a message, a mysterious message from a friend who said, "You're going to be contacted. You're going to get an email soon. Don't ignore it." And then in full caps, "You must answer this email." So a few days later, I got an email saying, "We're interested in using footage from the first movie and would like you to revoice it." And I said, "I'll think about that." "Yeah, okay, fine." No problem. Yeah. So I I went down to a sound studio that's about 20 minutes from my house. I walked in the door and I walked out the door about a half an hour later. It was the best job I've ever had. So easy. Because they had a link between San Francisco and the sound studio. They did a video link. So I was talking to the guys on one screen in San Francisco, and then they put the footage up on another screen, and I just barked into a microphone and revoiced the stuff and the dialogue, and they were very happy, and I walked out again. And I was driving home thinking, God, that was so easy. But I didn't know where they were going to put it in the movie.
Yeah.
So when I went to the premiere in London, and I saw where it was, I said, oh yeah, that's just something. They put it in exactly the right place.
It definitely
guys.
got a reaction from fans in the audience watching
it was
that
good
film.
fun. It was good fun. I'm very chuffed.
Yeah.
I still haven't quite got my head around it, but,
Yeah, so 40-year-old footage with audio that was
it's weird.
And a lot of the pilots were revoiced anyway. I think you're one of the few that actually had your own
The British
voice.
guys were.
Yeah.
Most of those guys, they wanted to Americanize them.
Mm.
But Garrick wasn't, and I wasn't, and a couple of other guys weren't.
Yeah.
So that was okay.
We'll start taking.
I learned that now. I never knew that bit.
Yeah.
There you go.
We've done it.
It's a learning curve, folks.
We'll take some questions from the audience. Does anyone have a question for Brian or Angus?
Are you confused about anything? I'm confused about most things, but. Can we have a translator?
We'd like to see your tattoo. Okay.
It doesn't come off, folks. It's actually real. You see, I'll tell you a story about this. I got this done last March in Dallas, Texas. No, I wasn't that drunk.
No, I was laughing at his noise over there.
I have hemophilia, very mild. So I'm a bleeder, right? And I told my wife, and she went nuts. She went nuts. She said, "You had somebody stick needles in you in Dallas in a kitchen? Are you stupid?" And I had to agree, I guess, a little stupid, but I survived. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of dumb, but I didn't tell my doctor. I hide it whenever I go to see these guys. No, I haven't had a tattoo. Yeah.
Okay, question over here. What was it like working on the set with all the other actors? For either of you?
We had, most of the stuff I did was the action battle stuff. I did one scene where there was a battle, there was like the war room, and nobody knew each other. We were just, some of the guys did. I mean, Garrick and, he knew something because he had been working on the picture for months, but I worked on it for just about 5 or 6 days. And they put me next to Carrie Fisher, so we were just standing there, and I didn't know who she was. Carrie Fisher was a pretty young girl, and I was a pretty young guy. No, but so we just chatted. You just chat like actors do, and it's pretty boring, isn't it? Yeah. And then the rest of the stuff was all action stuff, and all the fighter pilot stuff was done over a few days, and they just used one cockpit for all the. So I was a Y-wing pilot. I didn't know what a Y-wing was because they didn't show any pictures, really. I mean, and I didn't know what a TIE fighter was. They didn't show us any. I didn't know what an X-wing was. They didn't show any pictures to us. So it'd be like you're flying your Y-wing. What the hell's a Y-wing? I don't know. So we'd get in, and it was like a production line. We had to climb up a ladder. It was literally, just a step ladder. aluminum step ladders, and you climbed into this cockpit thing, and then they just shot you. Well, they shoot you actually. They just filmed what you had to do, and then you got down and left, and then the next guy would do it. It was like Fords. I used to work in an automobile factory. I come from Motown in Canada, which is right across from Motown in the States, from Detroit. And I used to work, so it was like that. It was like working in building cars, only we were making movies. So, but it was great fun. It was just, I just wish they wouldn't have lied to me quite the way they did, because they told me that there was going to be a small explosion behind me near the end, and I said, oh, okay, that's good. But it wasn't. They lied. It was a really big explosion. And I think I had to change my underwear after that.
How about yourself,
Oh,
Brian?
bit graphic, sorry about that.
Yeah, mine was quite strange. Yeah. Mine was quite strange because there was a whole crowd of us. There's about 30 of us all dressed up in these big hairy suits, and you could only see like that. You couldn't talk to anybody particularly unless you had your heads off, which you wanted to take them off because they were so hot in these costumes. So it wasn't particularly sociable, but we were all there together, all the main stars, and we were in this little village, and as I say, there was about 30, 40, I don't know, Ewoks, and so it was like just making sure you didn't bump into each other or knock over anybody or stab Mark Hamill or anything like that. So yeah, it was fun, but it was just, you were in your own little world in there. You couldn't talk to anybody, like have a chat to Carrie. We were just like there, and you have to stand still, because if you moved about too much, you got even hotter. So you stood still and just waited to be moved or told to move.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories about what some of you guys had to put up with. The
Well-
heat was like,
Well, the question I get most asked is it hot in the costume? Right, I'll go through it with you. I've got that much foam all over my body. I've got fur on top of that. I've then got a head on top of that with foam, with fur, and you're looking through there. You've got no air holes at all. Then they make you run around about 40 foot up in the air, because they wanted to make it look real up in the top of the forest. So we're up there, make us run around in these hot costumes, and there are steps and things so you've got to move around and be aware. Then they put all the lights on, just to make it a bit warmer for you. And then, at the end of the film, I don't know if you remember, there was a fire. We were all dancing around a fire. So it was a bit warm. And one of the guys shouted, "I can smell burning." And the other guy said, "Yes, you're on fire." And his fur had actually caught on fire. And also, because we were so high up and we had all these, very similar in the film, because there wasn't a lot of CGI then, but we were running down tracks and things, and they had what they called an Ewok catcher. And there was a net just over the side. So if we fell into a net rather than so many feet off the ground.
but you did have the foam, so you would have bounced.
I would have bounced. You wouldn't have known you were bouncing. So, yeah, it's a bit hot in the costume. That's why I prefer Jawa.
Yeah. So you were in Jabba's palace for the Jawa scene, and you were on the sail barge as well.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So what were
Just
those?
briefly.
What were those sets like? What was it like?
They
working
were
on those?
brilliant. Jabba the Hutt's palace, there was a scene that's cut where Mark Hamill gets thrown into the pit where the monster eats him. And apparently, well, it did happen that he was supposed to jump up and grab hold of the bars, try to escape. And me and Andy were supposed to run across, again, we can only see like that in Jawa outfits, had to run across these bars and bang on his hands. One, we weren't supposed to bang on his hands because Mark Hamill, let's damage his hand with rifles. And two, we were running across things like that, and we could only see like that. So every now and again you would hear, "Cut," and you go, "You all right, Andy?" "Yeah, I fall through the hole." Because you had these holes and you fell through it. But as the men would know, only one leg went through. So imagine the pain every time we went through it. So that scene never made it. It made it in a cut of a special edition or whatever. And I think I've got photos if anyone wants to buy any. No, sign for like a nice little price. We're over there, aren't we?
They cut the scene because you guys were screaming too much.
Yeah, high
They're
pitched.
moaning and crying.
High pitched. So yeah.
Next question from the audience.
What will the Jawa outfit actually feel like?
What the Jawa
Yeah,
outfit's like?
that's right. I'm doing it right. They were like monks' outfits, habit thing, but we had underneath a black romper suit, which was quite cute, just because so it was all black and we had black gloves on. And a lot of the cosplayers, the Jawas, they have their eyes down here and they look through up the top, but we didn't. We had goggles on with all bulbs all the way around our eyes, and we had to see through the middle. So they were quite comfortable compared to an Ewok, but they were still awkward.
It's like a test.
Every
Every day is a test.
day is a test.
Do you think you'll be able to make it? I don't know. Everybody's putting money down. Bet you falls through the hole.
There was a bet on that one. Which one's going to go today?
Next question from the audience.
Did you take anything back from the sets yourselves? Like memorabilia?
Did you keep anything from the set?
Well, no. But that was before people started valuing things. I wish I'd stolen the helmet. You know? Yeah.
One?
Or anything, actually, you know, but I mean, yeah. But then now it's the pictures they're doing now, apparently, from what I understand, is that they have RDF chips in everything. Every gloves, everything. You name it, socks, there's an RDF tag in it, and if you try and get out of the studio, it sets an alarm on. So it's like,
And you're not allowed to take your mobile phones in.
and you can't take your mobile phone.
Put them in a box.
Security is like serious, because they know if you walk away with something, that it's going to be worth a fortune. I was telling somebody, my character flew this Y-wing plane, and I've got a bunch of models. People have given me models of the Y-wing, and some of them are really nice. And I've got a really nice one, and I was at Celebration in Orlando a couple of years ago, a year ago, April, and there was a glass box in one of the stands, and there was my Y-wing. And I said to a friend of mine, I said, I got one of those. He said, you don't have one like that one. I said, what do you mean? He said, look at it. And I looked at it, and there was a little tag at the bottom, and it said, Gold Leaders Y-wing, price $125,000. And I went, that's a lot of money for a little plastic, but it was the one that was used in the movie. Well, mine's just as good, and I signed it. I mean, so if anybody wants to buy it,
We're at the table.
it's
with our
only
photos.
$100,000. I'm giving you a discount here. Be happy to discount it.
One of my mates apparently pinched one of the Ewok's hands, which are like that, and sold it at a Comic-Con one day.
Oh, really?
But then again, it was a glove with a bit of fur on the back and like that. So whether it's real, whether it's not. But he sold it to a Comic-Con organiser for 700 quid.
Then he went down here and took another one out.
I've got a wristband from Harry Potter, Goblet of Fire, when we was cheerleaders in the Quidditch final, and I just took it. And also, my wife is wearing a grey fleece, and we pinched that from the Harry Potter set, because they put it on us to keep us warm, and they were made to measure for us. So me and my mate that were both doing the filming, we just put our jackets on the top of them and walked away.
I generally take something from every picture I do. I take a belt buckle or something. But that's just a personal keepsake. I've got a lot of bullet casings. A lot of them. So, and they're spent I did this movie called 51st State. Right? And it's like a really bizarre movie, but very funny. And so I gotta get killed. They gotta kill me again, right? So,
Again?
yeah.
You
They
don't
kill
have a
me.
lot of luck, do
They
you?
kill me in this movie. They kill me in Elton.
Yeah.
So they're gonna shoot me
He's going to be dead before
through
this
the
panel
throat.
finishes.
Right? So they're gonna shoot me through the throat, and they just so it's like all this gushing blood is gonna happen. I walk onto the set, and it's like I looked at it, and I went, because I've done a lot of this stuff, and I looked at the set, and I thought, no, come on, you guys can't be serious. The entire set, outside the set, is just bare walls and just wood and plasterboard and whatever. The whole thing on all sides, on 3 sides, was completely covered in explosive squibs, and they were all wired together. And I was working, the stunt guys were there, and I was working with these guys, and they had all these Glocks, these 45, serious pistols. It's like, so we started doing this scene, and I get shot, and it's like blood all over the place. And these guys are shooting, everybody's shooting all over the place, and the walls are just completely blasted to pieces. And we were finished, and I looked down at the floor, and the entire floor was covered with shell casings. And the guys are on the floor laughing. They had such a good time. These stunt guys are a little bit cuckoo. And they really like shooting guns a lot. So they were just having a ball. And it was just amazing the amount of firing that went on. You get into these situations and you think, this is nuts. And it's nuts. But it was great fun. Oh, it's a sidebar, but never mind. Shouldn't have gone. That's not even anything to do with Star Wars. I'm going to have some water to shut up.
Next question from the audience. Anyone else got a question? Alice, what do you think about the current and the new Star Wars films and the trajectory of the way it's going underneath Disney? Any thoughts on that?
I don't know, I haven't
Seen
seen any.
it.
The thing is, obviously, we did Star Wars and Return, whatever. But that's to us, our jobs.
Yeah.
And we do it. We don't actually become big fans of it all because it is our job.
Sure.
Harry Potter. I've read the books. I've
Yeah.
not particularly seen the films. I'm sorry to upset anybody, but that's what we do. We are actors, and that's our job. We don't to like everything we've ever been in.
Sure.
How many?
Well, yeah. Star Wars is a bit different, though. It's a bit special. And when the first 3 were made, and that all happened, and it became really popular, and that was good. And then George did the 3 prequels, which a lot of people didn't like very much, which is okay. You get to choose. Not everything is going to be perfect. But I've got something invested in Star Wars. Obviously, I'm an actor, and like you say, it was at the time just a job, but it's sort of taken on a life of its own now. And I think it's important for the fans, and I got a lot of time for the fans. I think that it's important that for them that the integrity of the films carries on, that you get the sense of continuity that you can understand. And I think that they're doing that. And I think they'll continue to do that as long as Lucasfilm and not Disney actually makes the movies. If Disney starts making the movies, I wonder about little rabbits will start to appear. Oh, how you doing? Can you imagine Disney making Star Wars? It has to be Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm's owned by Disney, but it is still Lucasfilm. It's still, the guts of it are still that
So
organization.
they're keeping the integrity of the original.
They keep the
films,
integrity
yeah.
there, and the ethos is there.
Sure,
And
yeah.
I was very impressed with Rogue One, not because I was in it, but what I was interested in was the retroness of it. That it had the feeling of Star Wars, which is now called A New Hope. Come on. The picture I made was called The Star Wars. But anyway, it still had that, it had like levers that people pull. If you did that movie today, everything would be touch screen or it would be voice activated because technology has moved on. In those days, it was the big red button or the lever that did one of these.
He's gone to save America.
Emergency, right? Don't mess with that guy. So yeah, I think that that's important, and I think it's important for the fans, and as I say, for the fans, because the fans want that world to continue quite clearly. I mean, everybody I speak to is like that. So yeah, I think that they're doing fine. I'm not a big film critic.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not good at criticizing because I know what goes into making a movie, and I don't think I've worked on any movie except one where people didn't care about what they were doing. Everybody tries to do the best. But I've said many times to people, like, making a movie is like baking a cake. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. Sometimes maybe it's just the atmosphere, but the cake doesn't rise. Or you get the mix slightly wrong. You put in liniment instead of vanilla, you know. You ruin it. And movies get ruined because people make a mistake. Well, that's okay, that's human. But I think that, you know, people try really hard, and they're not trying to mess anything up. They're trying to keep that line going, you know. But like I say, I never worked on a movie where people don't care. I mean, you know, the attention to detail in film is weird.
So we'll order a taxi.
One bullet going over
Well,
there.
I'm saying you just can't please everyone, though, can you? You can't. It's impossible to please everyone.
No.
You can't, so
Yeah.
everyone is right. So you can't please everyone, so like I said, there's one people who like it and one people who won't, you know what I mean? But in my eyes, you've got to take the rough with the smooth, haven't you? So that's the way I see it.
Cool.
So you,
I love what he's on.
yeah.
Yeah.
You obviously meet a lot of Star Wars fans, and you see that how passionate people are about Star
yeah.
Wars. Is there anything in particular that you're passionate about in the same way? Maybe not Star Wars, but or something that growing up you had the same sort
Throw
of
it up.
admiration for. Still working on.
Didn't happen.
Oh.
Like, what were you into when you were younger? Or
Hockey.
hockey?
Hockey, eh? It was Canadian,
Yeah, of course.
you know? Hockey and Beavers, that's us. Very limited scope. Yeah, I mean, hockey I was a little nutty about, you know. I used to really like football here until the last couple of years I've been going off of it. I don't know whether it's become samey or something, but, you know. Yeah. Some people are really into Star Wars in a big way, or Star Trek, although Star Trek's I was talking to somebody about this, and has anybody noticed that the Star Trek-y thing is sort of faded away? Is that right, or am I imagining things?
Well, they've got the new shows on Netflix, and it's just never been quite as big as Star Wars, I think. And I think
Yeah, but it used to be a lot bigger. They used to have big
Yeah.
conventions, and I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know.
Any Star Trek fans here?
Good.
What do you
Good,
think?
That's cool.
I had one in Birmingham just a few weeks back.
Did they?
Convention, yeah. It was very good.
Yeah.
First one I've been to, they've done about 4 or something. And now they're doing cruises as well.
Cruises?
Yeah, Star Trek cruises. Yeah, you get about...
You go in the spaceship.
Well,
Can I fly that?
what we're going on next one, that's in Miami. You've got to get to Miami before you get onto the cruise ship.
Oh, of course.
Cha-ching.
Yeah, so we're going, isn't it?
Got time for one or two more questions from the audience. Anyone got any questions so far?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Your character's called John Dutch Bandit.
Yeah.
So do you know why he
No.
was Dutch?
I've always mystified me. It's like in a galaxy far, far away, there's a place called Holland, or Dutch people. It's completely confused me. In fact, to tell you a story, this is a true story. I was at a convention years ago, a long time ago, and I was sitting at a table with pictures and all that, like you do, and this guy walked up and said, "Hi, how you doing, Dutch?" And I said, "Huh?" And he said, "How you doing, Dutch?" I said, "Who's Dutch?" He said, and his face fell. big smile on his face. His face fell and he said, "You are." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "That's the name of your character." I said, "You're kidding." And he said, "No." He said, "That's your character's called John Dutch Vander." I said, "Are you serious?" I had no idea. No idea. All I knew I was called Gold Leader because that's what it said on the credits. I didn't read the books. What, I do research? An actor? So I was absolutely stunned. And then I kept thinking, why did he go Dutch? I mean, Dutch? What? Maybe it was a sort of dialect thing from another planet, like Dutch or Dutch. I don't know. And it got I don't know. It's a mystery to me.
John doesn't seem to lend itself as a particularly Star Wars name either.
No, but Vander is a very sort of Dutchish name, I think,
Yeah.
isn't it? So we got that ring to it, Vander. But it's weird. I don't know, maybe there's something about wormholes that I missed. Yeah, that's an interesting question, but I have no idea why. Not a clue. And not only that, I didn't know the name of my character for at least 10 years. At least 10.
I didn't know mine for 35 years. I've just found it out about last year. A Star Wars fan came along and gave me a whole list of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I found out my character's name. I found out that I was in love with one of the other Jawas, who was female.
Whoa.
It was Andy, but it was female. But yeah, so I've got a picture of a Jawa, and on the reverse side is a whole load of writing about it.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
35 years, that's got to be a record.
So I keep in contact with Andy, and every now and again I just put girlfriend on the end of it. And he goes, well, you won't tell. You don't want to know what he writes back.
That's brilliant. I love it.
35 years of not knowing who it was.
What was his name? What's your name?
My name is Snip Nick.
Say what?
No, I said what? Snip Nick.
Snip Nick.
Mm-hmm. I'll
So
show you when we
Nick
get back
had
to
a
the
day. I
table.
want to hear about it. Snipping. Yeah. Fascinating, isn't it?
It's weird, yeah.
It's weird. See, the fans know more than we do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
They actually read.
Well,
the
we
book.
obsess over it so much that we need to know the story of every single character that's in that film and their backstory and who they're in love with or anything
I
like
did.
that.
It's brilliant.
We need to fill in all the blanks, so there's nothing.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, do we have one final question from anyone? I think we'll maybe wrap it up there then. So please give a massive round of applause to Angus and Brian.
Thank you very much.
So we're going to be here all day signing autographs, and make sure you go and visit them at the tables, and they've got plenty more stories.
And we want to throw it back to you, that if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be sat here.
No.
35 years later, or how many years later?
42.
Oh, God. But thank you for coming, and thank you for
Thanks,
supporting
everyone.
the film.
And what he just said is the truest thing. Without you, we wouldn't be here. So thank you very much for coming.